Greetings, YouTube. Friday night, my wife and I watched the movie The Core. Now, I had a copy of this film in my possession for, I don't know, a couple of years now, I guess. And I just hadn't gotten around to watching it. I knew it was bad. I had heard negative things about it from every single source that I have ever encountered. Rotten Tomato gives it a 42%. Interestingly, that's the review score. The actual customer score was a 41. And I thought it was interesting that both were so similar. Often reviewers and viewers have different opinions of films. Yes, Mandarin has decided to hop up here and join us. So I wasn't hoping for much. And I came into it knowing almost nothing other than the basic premise. Now, the basic premise of the film, and yes, there are technically going to be spoilers here, but, you know, the film came out in 2003, so I think it's acceptable that I talk about that the center of our planet, the core, has somehow stopped spinning. And because it stopped spinning, we're losing our magnetic field, which provides protection to us from international and from intergalactic energy waves, radiation, solar winds, yada 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 yada. So I thought it was a dumb idea to start with. They wanted this to be Armageddon. They couldn't go into space to do that, so they went in the opposite direction. Cool, I guess. They wanted to be able to do a submarine film, but they didn't want to do a submarine movie because there have been numerous submarine movies and they've been done to death. So they said, okay, what can we do that's more extreme than a submarine movie? Well, we could go into the center of the planet, which is even deeper. That's more extreme. It's in fact more extreme. So I wasn't expecting much at all. Now, the first impression I had is I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, because there was a lot of money up on that screen. It visually looked great. I was expecting a very low budget appearance. I was expecting shoddy cinematography and bad lighting and sets that didn't have a textural feel to them that was appropriate to the film, and it all looked great. And I thought even such things, like the costuming and the way the characters were presented as far as their entry into the film, for the most part, were pleasant. There was one character who was playing a really douchey scientist, one that's massively egotistical, believes his own hype, much to his detriment. And I thought he was presented in a way that was very much realistic. I have encountered this guy, not, personally, but through reading and news articles and things like that. So it felt real to me. And then I began to watch the movie for real and listening to it and the theories they proposed. And at first, I began to dispute them. My wife is sitting next to me the entire time as this is going on. And as they were coming up, the dumb idea number one, I was like, no, that's not how these things work. This is what actually functions. And then dumb idea number two, and I was doing the same. And the stupid just kept being layered on. One thing after another, after another, and after another. And it's not hyperbole here. I don't think they got anything even vaguely related to science correct. And they had scientific experts for this film, believe it or not. That stunned me that it was not written by someone's cat. Because frankly, I am quite convinced that Mandarin could have written a more sensical script than the one that was presented to these actors. Now, after a certain point, I didn't know what to do. I remember at one point and I stopped talking. And my wife looked at me. She's waiting for me to continue. She's expecting me to like finish the statement I had just started. I'm like, I can't go on. That the stupid had achieved this level of miasma, of oppressive funk that had just settled over me, that you just couldn't describe it. Certainly it could get worse, and it did. Certainly it could become less sensical, and it did. But I couldn't describe how bad it was. I was just flabbergasted. My ghast was flabbered. And I just sat back in kind of awe and watched the rest of the movie. I watched the whole thing all the way to the end. I wasn't aware that Hilary Swank was in this dog. I really wasn't. I was kind of shocked by that fact. I made a comment about her having signed the contract for it from being punch drunk from her boxing film. My wife informs me that this was actually made before that, so Hilary Swank didn't have that excuse. I don't know, maybe she lost a bet. But the rest of the actors, they seem to have tried to do their job. I can't give you details about this film because it's just so dumb. If you can think of any scientific concept involved with how our Earth is formed and how our Earth functions within our our grasp of the topic, this film got it wrong. Basic laws of physics, and they were unable to achieve anything that made sense. Though I did really appreciate there was a crystal scene which was very much an ode to the original Journey to the Center of the Earth, the film, which I thought was very pleasant. I thought that was kind of cool, even though it made zero sense in the context of the film. That kind of nod to an earlier film was quite pleasant. So I recommend avoiding this. I'm going to go see if I can shag myself down a copy of the original Journey to the Center of the Earth, maybe one with commentary. That would be excellent. And I'm going to watch that, and I'm never ever going to watch this film again on its own merit. I may watch it again with commentary just because I want to see what someone thought they were doing, because they did not achieve what they started out to achieve.